Hi, this is video number 2. Me going through the study and send some bit more work for us kind of to finish. So in my eyes, like I said in the other video, you should have an idea of what this kind of the apparatus is. So it should be quite a straightforward study for us. Okay. So it's this idea, isn't it? Okay, of having the shallow side where it's all safe, and then the kind of appearance of a massive drop, even though there isn't, and seeing if kids and animals kind of walked across. And again, remember, this is all about, is it innate or is it a learned behaviour? And there was previous research on animals suggesting that it looks to be kind of quite innate. That is our Yerkes from Gould's thing. He did loads of random stuff. So kind of everything kind of is drawn towards is it nature and nurture. And like I say, I think it, just to be like aware of, if think about what the animals, including humans, what can we do at birth, and that might give you an indication of what the results may be. So they kind of had kind of two main aims really. One, to see what is if it is innate in humans, this depth perception, but also looked at different animals with chicks, turtles, rats, lambs, pigs, cats, dogs, you name it. They chucked them on there and see if they went to the other side. But also they wanted to see what kind of clues help indicate the depth perception. So they kind of looked at kind of different patterns, and the most important one is kind of the picture here. So the bottom right picture decreases the size and spacing of the patterns to make it look like it's kind of different. So you can see on the shallow side they're quite spaced out, but if they were far away they'd appear closer together. And then on the top left one, what we call the motion parallax, where things that are further away kind of go towards an angle, don't they, and appear to kind of get smaller. So that's kind of what they also kind of look to see, if what kind of visual clues there were that would kind of help anyone kind of indicate if there's depth or not. So in the sample, okay, in the humans, between 6 and 14 months, did 36. We don't really know how old most of the animals were, but we know the cats have been reared in darkness for 4 weeks. Okay, so we've kind of already spoken about this, but just so you can see, this is kind of the apparatus with the shallow side, just here, and then the cliff side, obviously there's a border around so they can't just fall off the edge, and then they kind of obviously change the pattern of the cloth depending what kind of condition they were kind of looking at. And I think in the humans, what was important is they had the mother. It was always the mother who took them to the experiment. They had the mother on the cliff side and kind of encouraged the baby to kind of come across. The animals were just plonked on and see where they wandered off to. So the results of humans is that most kind of went towards the shadow edge to kind of they went to go to their mother, got to the edge and went, oh, I don't want to do this. And this would be kind of similar to the natural behaviour, because kids are crawling between 6 and 10 months, 6 months. Who was that? That's my little Zaki. That's my little man. Look at his sticky out ear, so cute. So it kind of shows you they're still quite dependent on their mums, but kind of knew by this age at 6 months that they shouldn't cross that kind of line. In chicks, literally age of testing 24 hours old, just stayed on the shallow side, didn't go anywhere near that cliff, which kind of, like, chicks have to be dependent pretty much by themselves, so that would indicate that. Little lambs, they never went on to the cliffside. It completely froze them if they did, and again they are up and active from birth. Okay, so that would indicate nature. Little rats, they kind of picked it up pretty easy if their whiskers were on the floor like on the glass, and as their kind of natural behaviour as then more kind of nocturnal. They don't really use their eyes very much, so the whiskers was really important, and as they could feel the glass, they kind of knew there wasn't anything to worry about, so that's why they wandered on both sides of the apparatus. Little cats, again, stayed on that shallow safe side, wherever possible, which would kind of be what they would do at that age in the wild. Then we've got our turtles. About a quarter of them went over to the cliffside, but obviously that means 3/4 stayed on the safe side. But they live in water, so they're not going to fall very often, are they? Probably indicates why some of them kept moving across. Didn't have a Scooby-Doo. It's not a part of their kind of natural behaviour to have this there. And on the kind of the differences in the patterns, they kind of found that the motion parallax, or when things kind of get close together and kind of moving away, that was kind of seen more early in animals and humans, so more likely to be an innate visual clues, while the difference in object size that appeared a bit later in kids, so maybe that's an experience clue. Okay, so what did they conclude? They concluded basically by the time humans and animals are mobile and have to start not looking like, obviously babies don't look after themselves at 6-10 months, but their kind of depth perception is kind of suited to when they would be kind of out kind of fending for themselves. So how does this study link to depth perception? For in kids, it shows that kind of by 6 months kids have this depth perception, which kind of suggests that it's not at birth. They don't have it, then they don't need to, so it's a learned thing. Okay, so they would acquire this through experience and age. But whilst in animals it seems to be far more innate, they are very much having this this kind of ability to perceive depth at birth, depending on what they need to do in the real environment. And this is because they are precocual animals. They kind of look after themselves very quickly, whilst outrical animals like humans who need love, who need attention, it takes longer. Okay. So it kind of appears that evolution has kind of helped this. So animals that are able to move get this really quickly, while animals that don't. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to say too much about the evaluation. When we kind of get in, like when we do some evaluation on this in a couple of weeks' time, when we'll have an exam question session, I want to set you a question about the methodology. So I want to see kind of how you kind of work on this, because it's really interesting how you kind of view the difference in humans and animal research of it. But it's a lab experiment, so it's going to have lots of strengths, isn't it? So that'll be interesting to see how you kind of get on that. But the bigger picture, obviously this contributes to nature and nurture hugely. So it kind of shows you that animals are more nature, humans probably more nurture. It's a very reductionist view. We are focusing on innate factors more, but surely it's a bit of both. Surely it must contribute to both. So let's have a look at that. It's useful for 2 reasons. Helps us understand perception of people who have perceptual issues like amblyphobia. I always say amblyphobia, amblyopia. Okay, so we can kind of apply that kind of to people with perceptual issues as kids, but also it has been kind of linked, being able to use virtual reality to help people who have perception issues, and quite often in autism, kids with autism might bonk around and be quite clumsy, using the experience. So the more they experience moving around, depth perception, the better they will be at it. So it's a good practice tool for kids with autism, which is an amazing kind of application of this, and obviously it's a very scientific study. Okay, so that's good. So what do I need you to do? Make sure you've got your 1-page study summary, no more, no need for more than this. And then on our folder here, you'll see I've got some scanned in pages. Go to the back. Please look at some strategies for kind of developing perceptual in young kids, and you'll look at something called sensory integration therapy and developing from constancy, which will make complete sense. Half page on each one, no more. Okay, so finish all this, and that's kind of your work for today's session all done. Okay, any questions? You know I'm on Teams, just message me anytime.